How much money do you need for a down payment on a house? I think you'll be surprised when you hear the answer. I know I was, so keep watching. Hi, I'm Amy Solera. I'm a real estate agent in Pittsburgh. You're probably wondering how much money you need for a down payment on a house, so that's what I'm going to share with you today. Most likely you've heard that you need 20% down in order to buy a house, but I'm here to tell you that is not the case. Today I'm joined by Justin Ruzicka with Developers Mortgage. Justin, tell us, when people are buying houses, how much money do you see them typically put down on average?
So on a percentage basis, we typically see people put anywhere from 5 to 10% down. It depends on loan type, and it depends on if you're a first-time buyer or second-time buyer. Okay, a lot of second-time buyers will use the equity in their homes to put down a down payment, so they can put, most of the time 20%, maybe even 10, depending on how much cash they want to keep in their pockets. For first-time buyers, we have programs. There's an FHA loan that's 3.5% down. Most people that use that loan type do not put any more than 3.5% down. Conventional buyers, for first-time home buyers, as little as 3% down. So depends on if you're a first-time or second-time buyer.
When I first heard Justin say 5 to 10% is the typical down payment for a home buyer, I was actually surprised. I mean, based on the buyers that I see, I know 20% is rare and it's not average, but 5% is much lower than I had thought. Okay, Justin, so if a buyer in Allegheny County wants to buy a $300,000 house and they're putting down the standard 5%, give us an example of how much cash they would need to bring to the closing table.
With no seller's assist or no seller's help in paying closing costs, all right, you have a 5% down payment, which is going to be about $15,000, and then you have your closing costs in Allegheny County. I would say around $25,000.
Okay, so if you're buying a $300,000 house in Allegheny County, day of closing, you would need to write a check for $25,000.
Yeah, roughly.
And then, of course, if you're going to Butler County, Beaver County, Washington County, the taxes are a little lower.
Yeah, the taxes are a little lower, and sometimes the transfer tax is a little bit lower too. So, I mean, give or take a couple $1,000, but it's still going to be in that 20 to 25,000 range.
And then you also mentioned about different loan programs, such as putting down 3% or government loans. So take that same $300,000 house, and instead of putting 5% down in what is called a conventional loan, give us a different option. If someone doesn't have $25,000, is there any way they could still buy a $300,000 house?
This is more for first-time home buyers that don't have a ton of cash, to put down on a house. We could do the government loan, which is an FHA. It's 3.5% down. So for your example, at what, 300,000, that's about $10,500 for a down payment, and then we can get the seller to pay up to 6% of the closing costs. So that's pretty much everything. So minimum would have to be $10,500. It's not as strong as of an offer, as you know, but it's still a way for people that don't want to put $25,000 or don't have $25,000 to put down. A little bit better way to get with less cash.
And Justin's exactly right. When the market's really competitive and there are a lot of buyers out there, doing some of this more creative financing and asking for the seller to help pay closing costs, it's not as competitive, but certainly, if the house has been sitting on the market for a while or if the market's slow, there are definitely things that we can ask of the seller in order to bring down how much money you need for a down payment and, ask for some help for closing costs. Okay, so there you have it, straight from a lender's mouth, where typically I think people would hear, I want to buy a $300,000 house. I need $60,000 for closing. But Justin just told you that is not true. And you basically only need $10,000 to buy a $300,000 house. So if you're thinking about buying a home this year, please reach out. I'm happy to help you. And I will provide Justin's contact information below in the description as well.